This is what struck me. I don't want to harp on about their poor performances before this because, again, they won, they didn't concede, fine. But I was struck by the fact that going into this game, he switched it up. He moved Azpilicueta out of the back three, which instantly makes things more defensive. The change that he made at halftime obviously ended up scoring, but he took off Mount for Conte, which again is very much
a defensive
move. What's going through Tuchel's mind? Do you think he looks at this and he says, we need to stiffen up for certain games. We're not necessarily where I would like us to be right now. And maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% sold on who the two guys behind Lukaku are.
I'm not sure. I think he expected Spurs to play more instead of playing long. And I think Conte coming on in the second half is to win second balls. And the fact that they scored...
Right about the fact that Azpilicueta starts in place of Reece James, who coincidentally you were having a kickabout with.
Yeah, right? My friend Reece, who had a tough week, to be fair. We know what happened in his private life and his house being burglared and all of that. So maybe that was part of the reason. Maybe also I think that Tuchel thought Son would play on the left-hand side as a left winger, which we all expected that with Kane central, right, and not the other way around. And maybe you put Azpilicueta then to defend on Son with Christensen and having someone more defensive than Reece James,
for
example.
That would make sense, yeah.
In a way. And then the fact that Son actually played central and Kane on the left, maybe that's why... That's something that Tuchel didn't expect. I just think Kante helped you to win those second balls in midfield, to get the game under a bit more control. And for that, you have to sacrifice either Mount or Havertz. I still think that he's happy with Havertz and Mount behind Lukaku, and I think both of them could have scored in the first half if their finish had been a bit better.
Augie, what's your take on Mount? Because there's a school of thought that says that he just played way too many games last season, and that this season they're going to have to pace him a little bit more.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if he's played too many games. I just think with Tuchel, I think he's one of these coaches that identifies something during the game and will change it to suit, no matter who the victim on the pitch is. Mount will play as many games as virtually every Chelsea player this year because he's so, I think, durable is the word, isn't it? I don't think Mount needs to be, rested up. I think he's one of those players that can play a lot. There might become a time when you have to take him out of the firing line a little bit, but I don't think he's one of these players that is one of those fragile players like that.
Are you more worried, not so much about his fitness and if he plays too much, by the end product? Because there's a lot of things he does so well. But then I look at him yesterday again, the first half. He should have scored, maybe assisted again. And in the end, there's none of that. Well, and do you think that there's a point where, even for him to go to the next level, he will have to be a bit more clinical in what he does in the box or in the last third of the pitch? Or are you happy to start him even if there's no those goals and assists?
I think this is one of the situations where you have to know the player and work with him intimately daily to know what he responds best to. I do think there is a legitimate risk of burnout, whether physical or mental, and you want to protect your player before he gets into that red zone where it can happen. I think Mount has so much energy, gives you so much, has a ton of quality. I think he's played a tremendous number of games with England, with Chelsea last season, and I don't see anything wrong with easing him into it more and more. You say it very quick, you say it very clearly. There's a hierarchy here. You are a starter.
He's a starter, for sure.
Of course.
He's a starter.
But you don't play every game because we don't need you in every game because we have a ton of other people in these situations, and we want you to be at your best in the second half of the season. We're going to get onto this later, but if Klopp can rest Virgil van Dijk for the Champions League opener, I don't think that, and by the way, this isn't, Mount's missed games already this season. I wonder if this is something that they're doing. They're exercising some kind of load management because there is a lot of mental pressure that these players come under. And it's not just the physical side of things. And maybe Mount feels that. Or maybe not. Maybe he's a machine and can play every minute this season and be great. I genuinely don't know. But I do want to go back to one other thing. That so far Lukaku's played. He's been durable. There's been no real issue here. But I still don't feel that Chelsea going forward dominate the opposition the way at some point I expect a Tuchel team to do. Because this is, my Tuchel reference point is always Mainz and early on at Dortmund. We haven't seen that. More broadly, we've seen tremendous defending, good man management from Thomas Tuchel. But I feel like it's been more like it was at Paris Saint-Germain, where he sorted out the defense and he waited for the talented guys up front to do something. But maybe it's a bit harsh.
You're a bit harsh, because yesterday I thought, so especially again in the second half, but it's easier when you play against a team that has
Against
to
Spurs.
come out a bit. Yeah, no, but because the way they use Lukaku, for example, is already much better than I thought in the first few games of the season, where whether it's back to goal and we saw the 1-2 with Kovacic, we saw the ball then end.
Lukaku's a passer.
Yeah,
so that gives you that
the ball
extra
to
dimension.
Werner. I mean, even the one before he misses the chance, the one before that, where I think Lukaku could have taken a shot himself, driving the ball forward. I think they're improving going forward. But it can always be better. But I still think that they will always create chances. They will always find. I don't know how Lukaku didn't get a goal and an assist yesterday. He certainly deserves it for the kind of performance that he had. I think they were very unlucky that he didn't score more and that he didn't score more either. And they were quite wasteful in front of goals. But I can see some improvement. And I guess the game against City on Saturday at Stamford Bridge would maybe be a bit more of a test. Instead of, okay, what can you do with the ball now? Show us, because you'll be home and against arguably the best team in the country.
Although, again, a team that also can keep the ball for long stretches. So
yeah, but
that might actually be a game where maybe you choose to be a little more defensive, and I would accept that. Ogden, do you see Tuchel adding this other dimension where they can go out and just dominate opponents with the ball that we don't see all the time from Chelsea? Or am I nitpicking? Or is Tuchel at his ceiling?
I think you're right. I think that's the way Chelsea play under Tuchel. I think they are very mechanical in that sense. They're not a team that will pass like City. But, Lukaku is a big part of that. And I'm still not sure about Lukaku in terms of against the very best opposition. He will score lots of goals against teams outside the top six. But this title race could be decided by what happens in the games between the top four. And I saw him at Anfield and I thought he was poor on that day at Anfield. He didn't offer Chelsea a lot. Yesterday, that chance in the first half where he could have taken his right foot and decided to pass instead. That I don't know. There's something about Lukaku that doesn't quite excite me against the top teams. Ronaldo, Salah, these players, they're going to score in the big games. I'm just not sure about Lukaku, and that could be Chelsea's undoing at the end of the day. And also, listen, let's be honest. He has made them better with his presence up front, and he does occupy defenders. So he has certainly made them better, but has he made them better to the point where they will win the league? I'm not too sure. I'll still wait and see on that one.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.